looking at the steering wheel, cluster screen, and head-up display, and a few other things inside of the Hyundai Ioniq 9. First I'm going to point out is that the steering wheel across the lineup is going to be heated. So down on your climate controls there, you've got heated option with 2 unique levels, and it's heated all the way around. The steering wheel inside the vehicle also might be manual telescoping or power telescoping, depending on which trim level that you're in. Down by your left knee, you've got a little switch here. So this is for the power versions of the Ioniq 9. So forwards, backwards, up and down. If you were in the manual version, it would just be a little release instead. Once you've got that set up though, what I'd recommend, get your driver's seat set up as well. So you've got a series of different switches. This one here is going to be for the leg cushion, if you've got it. Move your seat forwards, backwards, up or down. Then you can kind of go diagonal as well too that way. This one is going to be for your backrest. You've got this one here, which is going to be for your lumbar support 4-way. And there's a switch along the outside in order to hug your body a little bit more. So some of these things won't be standard across the board though, so in higher trims. But once you've got that set up the way that you'd like to, you're also going to set up your side view mirrors the way that you'd like to. So you've got to click all the way left or all the way right. In the middle means that nothing happens. Set that up the way that you'd like to. Once you've got that set up, you're then going to push and hold either 1 or 2 for it to remember your own personal profile. So now when you hop back into the vehicle, you just need to tap 1 or 2, and it's going to set the seat back up for you again, which is really useful. Down the side here, you can open and close the charge door from the inside. You can double push here in order to open up the front, push and hold in order to open or close the liftgate. You can toggle traction control on or off this way. The only time I'd recommend that, super slippery, snowy conditions, you're not getting good traction. You can toggle that off in order to help with wheel slippage. You can increase or decrease the brightness of the cluster screen. I always recommend max brightness. And then there's your parking brake. So in order to toggle it on, you just pull in towards you. To turn it off, push and hold that brake pedal, and then push away in order to toggle it off instead. And then there are so many different buttons in stocks. Starting off though along the left-hand side, this is going to be obviously for your turn signals with the available blind spot view monitor, which I love. You can flash out your high beams here, but when you push away here, it's going to put you into the auto headlamp mode. And that's going to be for your high beams specifically. So later on at night, if the car recognizes high beams are needed, it turns them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, turns them off before turning them right back on again. If you want to permanently lock your high beams out, go into the upper headlight mode. You then push away to turn them on, pull towards you in order to turn them off. Just that, you're going to be in that auto mode though the majority of the time. Stock along the right-hand side, 1 down is going to be just a quick wipe. If you go up a level, that's the auto or intermittent level. You can then use the rocker there in order to adjust out how fast or slow rain's hitting the windshield. Go up to some of those crazy modes there instead too. And then along this side, you've got the option of toggling your rear wiper on or off with different levels. You're going to pull in towards you to get the front wiper fluid going. Then you're going to push away in order to get the rear wiper fluid going. Your shifter here is kind of neat. So starting the vehicle up, you're going to push here. So it's start, stop. If you don't have your foot on the brake pedal, you're going to put yourself into accessory mode. So just make sure you push and hold the brake pedal to turn on. With yourself turned on, you can then go lightly down or lightly up in order to put yourself into neutral. Click all the way up, click all the way down in order to go into the drive or reverse, and then a button on the tip of the stick there in order to put yourself back into park. Nice and simple. You've got your paddles here in order to adjust between all of your Regen braking levels, which I'll explain in a second. And then you've got the buttons here for your cruise control. There's only a single type of cruise control inside of the Ioniq 9, and that's the smart or the adaptive cruise control system. So you set it at, let's say, 80. If the car in front of you slows down, yours will automatically brake. They change lanes, you change lanes, it'll pick you back up to your previously set speed. So that's the only type of cruise that's available. Actively using the system, you toggle it on this way. It's not going to work because I'm parked. So cruise control conditions not met because I'm parked. If you were stopped with your foot on the brake pedal, etc., you couldn't turn it on. But as you start to drive, you then tap the button here and it's going to turn the system on at your current speed. You have to be going at least 30 kilometers an hour, so about 20-ish miles per hour to turn the system on. You could then increase, decrease 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour at a time, push and hold up or push and hold down to increase, decrease at larger increments. You can hit the brake pedal to cancel pause your speed. You can push the button in the middle there to cancel pause your speed, and then push it again in order to resume your previously set speed. There's also a gap adjustment with 4 unique levels. Think of that like a 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, for how close or far you are away from that leading vehicle. I'm personally okay on level 1 most of the time, but you might want to be on level 2, 3, or 4 depending on your own reaction speed and personal comfort level. If you're a bigger fan of the old school cruise control, I'd actually recommend going to level 1 and then just actively use the pause resume button as necessary there. There's also this little feller. So if we just tap, do a light tap there, you've got 2 different icons there. So a light tap turns the steering wheel off, but if you take that same button and push and hold it instead, that turns the car with the lane markings on. So the difference, the long push and hold there is a lane keep assist. So if the vehicle recognizes the lane markings and you start to veer into another lane, you might get a steering wheel vibration and then it'll nudge you back into your lane. The other one, a light tap, is the lane follow assist. It's a beautiful system. So the car is not self-driving, but it's a lane centering system. So if those lanes are recognized, it's going to keep you perfectly balanced in your lane. If you just lightly grip the steering wheel, when you go around a bend, you'll notice that it's actually turning the wheel without any user input. You do have to actively be steering the vehicle, but if you lose focus for a second, you're rubbernecking like an idiot, screaming at the kids in the back seat, etc. If those lane markings are recognized up to 10 seconds before you get a message inside of the cluster screen telling you that, steering is required. But it's a great system, and if you want a live demo of actually using the systems here, you'll find that down in the description of this video. You've got a little pages button to get to a few basic pages there, and then a scroll wheel to get up and down between a few additional options, which I'll explain in a second. Along this side of the steering wheel, there are 2 custom buttons. I'll show you those ones in a sec. You've got a voice command prompt here too. So you'll be able to do all sorts of things using your voice. You can change songs, radio stations, navigate using your voice. You can also adjust climate out using your voice too. So it's just change temperature to whatever degree, and it can do that for you using your voice. If you are hooked up to Android or iPhone devices, you can do a long push and hold in order to be able to activate either your Siri or your Google Assistant. You've got a volume rocker there, push in the middle in order to be able to mute. You can answer or hang up on a phone call this way. If you have presets set up, you can go up or down in order to be able to change out to all of your different presets, but you can also go up or down, so push and hold up, push and hold down, in order for it to act as a seek button there instead. If you want to know how to set up presets, you'll find a walkthrough down in the description of this video. You've also got these 2 custom buttons here. In order to adjust these out, if you go into your setup, buttons, you've got your steering wheel custom button there or your mode button. So when you push the custom steering wheel button here, what does it do? Do you want it to turn the display off, go to passenger talk, etc.? So I've got it set up. It goes into a calming screen mode instead. So you can adjust that out this way, and then your mode button is going to be for all of the sources that you tend to listen to. So if you only listen to AM, FM, Sirius XM, whatever the case may be, it's going to move you between all of the sources that you've got set up this way. Inside of the cluster screen, you've got your speedometer along the left side here. I want you to think of the gauges here, this one at least, almost like your regular tachometer. So it's a power gauge, so how much power are you currently using? And then the gauge this way is your charge or regenerative braking level gauge. So as you go to put your foot down to brake, or if you're using one pedal drive, etc., this gauge will drop down a bit faster, or a bit bigger, I should say, which means that we're trying to recapture more of that charge. We'll explain that a little bit more in a second. You've got whatever drive mode you're currently in, so you can see Eco, Normal, Sport, or you can customize and create your own drive mode. But one thing I really like along this side is as you move between all of your different modes, you can see the range that you should be able to expect when you're in those different modes too. So Eco is going to give you the best possible economy versus Normal is more for your day-to-day driving. Sport mode is going to give you the best possible performance, but it comes at a sacrifice of range. And then there's a customizable mode that you can set up inside of the infotainment system. When you push the terrain drive mode there, you can then go between a few different terrain modes. So again, play with traction control, stability control, and things like that. You're going to be in the Eco mode though the majority of the time. Normal just for like day-to-day driving. Sport if you want a little bit of fun. Along the bottom here, you can see the vehicle's ready to drive, what your outside temperature is, what gear you're currently in, so park, reverse. You've got your full sensing system there as well. Light up to go to neutral, drive, etc. You've got your current range done a few different ways there. along with your regen braking level. So if you use the paddle along either the right or the left side. So if you go right, we're at level 0. So think of that like your regular coast. So a regular gas car, you take your foot off the accelerator pedal and you're just going to coast. It's the same thing here. But if you go the opposite way, so using the left paddle, we can go up to our I-pedal drive, which is essentially a one-pedal drive. So you take your foot off of the accelerator pedal and you slow down very rapidly. But you've got the flexibility of saying how fast or slow you're going to adjust there. But if you push and hold the right paddle, that's going to put you into an auto mode instead. So auto mode means that it figures out which regen braking level that you're in automatically. But for me, I'm usually in either 1 or 0. But play around with that just a little bit and see you find that perfect mode for you. Your current odometer is there along the bottom. And then I mentioned here with your different drive modes and the overall range that you get. So you've got minimum versus maximum level. So this is roughly what the vehicle is going to anticipate that you get based off of your charge level and everything that's going on. So you use climate and you're going to be closer to that min level. So if you've got, let's say, your heat or AC blasting with devices plugged in, so your phone's charging up, if you've got a dash cam plugged in, etc., versus if nothing else is going on, that's the best possible range you might be able to get. Again, just depending on your overall driving habits. But I love how it updates this automatically, and you've got the flexibility of adjusting out these measurement units too. Inside of the infotainment system, if you go to your setup, and then swipe across to general settings, you've got measurement units that are available here. So do you want to be in either miles or kilometers? And it just updates everything on the fly, which is useful. You can also change up your temperature unit. So if you've got your climate going, do you want to be in either Celsius or Fahrenheit? One thing I will say that if you're in kilometers, you're probably going to be used to seeing this. So kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. It's like your liters per 100 kilometers. And then you can also adjust out your tire pressure units. So do you want to be in PSI, KPA, or bar? You've also got a few other options here too. So if we go into our setup again, you've got cluster head-up display. So if you look at your cluster, you can adjust out the brightness of the cluster screen. You can also adjust out the theme. So we've got either simple, modern, or classic. So I'm on classic right now, but if you wanted modern or simple, you've got the option of adjusting that easily there. As you move between all of your different drive modes, it's also going to potentially change up the look of the cluster screen as well. But let's say if you absolutely love one of these other styles, you can permanently lock it in to one of the other styles instead. So let's say if you love the sport mode look, but you love the eco mode economy, you can adjust it out that way to lock it in, or link to the drive mode. You can say what content's showing up. So do you want your blind spot view monitor showing up there, yes or no? Icy road warning, if it's a little bit nippy outside, you'd get a little heads up there too. So toggling all these systems on off, and then a welcome sound when you first start the vehicle up. From here, you've got your little pages button that I was showing you earlier. So we've got 3 primary pages that are available, and then you've got some sub pages that are there too. So you then use the little rocker in order to slide up and down between a few pages. Your current trip counter is from the last time the vehicle was turned on. That's the economy that you've gotten. You drop down a level and it's after charging. So when you've charged up, how far have you gotten? And then this is your total trip counter too. Now, as you move up and down between these options, you might see hold OK to reset. So if you ever get any messages on the screen, or if you wanted to reset, you're just going to push and hold the rocker there in order to recenter you back out to 0 again. Your current range guide, so how far can you get? Again, done a few different ways. And then you've got your tire pressure, actively driving in order to see your current tire pressure, with your power distribution. So if you're a rear wheel, you obviously wouldn't have all axles there, but this is showing you which axle is getting which amount of power as you go to gun it. And then back to your trip counter. Pages counter there is going to be a basic compass view, unless you've got an active route going. So with an active route going right now, we've got little turn-by-turn directions. So it's not full mapping cluster, but I think that's kind of useful. And then you've got your driver assistance page, where this page comes into play. If the vehicle recognizes somebody's in your blind spot, it's going to show you along the left or the right side if somebody's in that blind spot. When you're on the highway, it's going to go green if those lanes are recognized. And then if you've got the option for lane change assist, you're going to get an additional icon there with lanes and arrows pointing out next to the sides. So then you hit the turn stalk to go left or right, and it's going to check to see if there's anybody in that lane and automatically shoot you over. It's a brilliant system. Some versions of the Ioniq 9 are also going to have a head-up display. So you've got your lane markings there with your blind spot. So if somebody enters that blind spot, it's going to show you on either side. And then you've got your turn-by-turn directions that also show up. Inside of the infotainment system, if you go into your setup, and then you've got your cluster head-up display. Go to head-up display, and you've got the option of toggling the head-up display on or off if you'd like to, but you can also adjust a few different things. So you can adjust out whether or not it sits high or low. So you can adjust out the height there. You can also adjust out the rotation. So if you have a tendency to sit left or right on the seat, you can also adjust out the brightness, and I always recommend just go maximum brightness there. Back, you can also select the contents that show up. So do your turn-by-turn directions show up inside of that head-up display, yes or no? So you can disable that, so those turn-by-turn directions aren't there. Do you want your media information showing up? So as you move between all of your different stations, songs, etc., it's going to show you that album artwork information, and then that blind spot safety system there too. So again, if somebody enters the blind spot, it'll show you along either side if somebody's in that blind spot. Down low from here, you've got your volume rocker, tuning rocker, a series of individual buttons to get to different parts of the screen. So if you wanted to get into your map, media, change song stations, etc., go to your setup screen. You've got that available. Your four-way blinkers are there. There's technically tri-zone climate control here too. So we're adjusting out driver passenger side. You can tap front rear in order to adjust out the rear climate there too. If the passenger side is set to something different than the driver, all you're going to do, tap in order to resync it. Toggle it off. All trims will have heated seats, and then ventilated there available as an option. Heated steering wheel with 2 unique levels. You could turn the air conditioning on. Air circulation, if this is off, what it's going to do is pull air from outside the vehicle in. You can also just recirculate cabin air this way if you'd like. Your front defroster, rear defroster. Down low, you've got a bunch of USB ports. So this one is going to be for USB data transfer, wired Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, versus these two are strictly for charging. So 12-volt power point with a little storage tray. If your key fob's ever died and you need to start up, you're just going to place your key fob there, I should say, in order to start the vehicle up from there. There's the auto hold setting here. So you can see inside of the cluster, auto hold on versus off. So with auto hold turned on, if you're in drive and you come down to a complete stop, take your foot off the brake pedal, the car is not going to move. So that one's pretty good from a basic safety perspective. There's your little selector switch to move between your different drive modes or push in to adjust out to different terrain modes instead. There's downhill brake control. There's your park button there too. I'll show you that one in a second, but you've also got your parking sensing system. So that beeping that you get as you get closer to obstacles, you can toggle that on or off. You've got your little camera button. So that's going to be for all of your different camera views. So you've got front view versus your basic side view, mirror views, some different top-down views, etc. And then your little swing-out view to see what's going on all around you. Button push again to get rid of it. But if you push and hold that system, that's going to give you the option for remote smart parking assist. So the vehicle can help out with parallel perpendicular parking in and out. If you want to walk through of actually using that system though, you'll find that down in the description of this video. And it is a great system overall. Up overhead, there's the auto dimming rearview mirror with fully digital capabilities in the calligraphy trim level. There's a home link system there, so programming in a garage door opener at home. You can tap the button here in order to be able to adjust the brightness or the height, so have it go high, lower, etc. Strictly when you have that digital rear view option. From there, you've got your SOS versus tow mode. You've got individual controls for your cabin lights. You've got the option of turning this off. So that means that when the doors are open, the lights won't come on. And then you've got this little switch here, which is going to be for your sunroof, but it's kind of multi-function. So you can just do a light tap in order to just open up the shade to open or close. But if you do a heavy one, it's going to do both of them simultaneously, open or close. Which is pretty neat. I know that was a heck of a lot of information, but that's everything you need to know about the steering wheel, cluster, and the head-up display inside of the Hyundai Ioniq 9.